Run it back. Hip hop doesn't talk about this enough. This conversation is personal. Well, not personal, but it's definitely needed. Hip hop is at a standstill for a lot of different reasons. And the people that grew up on it, that lived through the different changes, it's the only ones that probably can save it. And it's getting to the point where it's getting scary. Now we got the complaints about how hip hop ain't in the top 40 and stuff like that, and the majors. And a lot of people want some of the same results that we used to have with the popularity of hip hop and being in the top 10, top 20. All those days are primarily over. And we did it. We can take it back to bootlegging if you really want to be specific, even before the streaming. Bootlegging the CDs, not buying as much. That was the real beginning. If you really want to touch on it and be specific about when the decline of hip hop really was starting to take place on a big scale, on a large scale, from the making money part of it, from the business part of it. Although he did used to dub cassettes too, but that was minor. I remember throwing the paper in the bottom of the tape. You had the tapes. Throw the paper in at the bottom, shit like that. And then you would dub a tape and send it to your friend or record off the radio. Stuff like that. But then people got more advanced. Because honestly, when people was starting to dub on the tapes and record and make mixtapes and stuff like that, that's where mixtapes came from. And most people that was around in the early 90s, they know this already. Run that back. Most people that was in the early 90s know that we had the tapes. So then that's when they came with the CDs. Because bootlegging was just about to get out of hand with the tapes. So that's when they started manufacturing the CDs. And then they thought that, okay, we got something to where another software or a disc to where they can't record. They can't record off the radio, stuff like that. And for a small amount of time, it was tapes and CDs at the same time. Because anything that get phased out in this technology and music and hip hop world, and whatever replace it, it's always somewhere nearby. And they test it out and work it. And we fall for it every time and think that it's like whenever we get used to something, we think it's nothing else. And we get comfortable. And what happens is when the next thing is created or invented, it hits the market and we scared of it. Not all, but for the most part, we have to change and adjust to the new. And again, run it back, going to my conversation with the tapes And when CDs came, and then with CDs, people figured out a way to start bootlegging and grabbing the music off of sites like LimeWire, stuff like that, and being online. And when we had those sites, that was the beginning. That was the beginning of the downfall of the business side of hip hop. And what hip hop does, being that it was so big, the people that followed it had to resort to other things. Cause let's just break this down now. Let's just break this down from the I'm talking about from the smallest and the simplest factor of the bootlegging and the decline of. Cause see, for every disaster that happens in music, it's always some entity on the other side that's going to profit every time. I mean, that's something to think about. Because what happened was, even though everybody was bootlegging, or a lot of people was bootlegging, you would think that you got away with something because you didn't pay for the album. But what happened when the music hit the streets, whether it be the mixtape hit the streets, or you stole the music offline, off LimeWire, all these other sites, or whatever. However you got your hands on the music, even though the sound quality wasn't that good. If you was a real music head, you know the sound quality wasn't that good on a lot of them bootleg CDs, especially if it came off of a computer and it got zipped to a CD. That sound really didn't sound that good, but you got so used to it though, if you just on some hood shit. But what happened was, guess who made a lot of the profit off of all of the stolen music? The artist still made money. Because what happened was, you would take the music, you don't pay the $10 or the $12 for the CD. But what did a lot of people end up doing? They ended up going to the shows paying $40, paying $80, paying $60. And let's do the math on that and let's just talk about it. I ain't saying that, run it back. I ain't saying that every person that brought a CD went to a show. But that's when the touring got big, if you think about it. Because the artists had to look around and say, like, well, the record labels, I ain't gonna say the artists, because the artist was just going with whatever the record labels was saying or whatever. Because the music was getting stolen. But the record labels had to think to themselves, like, okay, we ain't making this $12 off the albums and shit like we used to. They ain't going to Sam Goody and all these different big record stores buying the albums no more. They taking it. So we got to get more visible. We got to make these people, we got to get their money one way or another. So that's when everybody started going on tours. That's when it started being more rap shows. Because if you think about it, the early 90s, when CDs was selling like that, your rap shows and your rap concerts, all that stuff was far and in between. They wasn't being on tour like that. They wasn't coming outside like that. You know, an artist can just drop the album, go off, I ain't gonna say go off in the sunset, but they'll do your shows like Arsenio Hall, Soul Train, and a couple other shows. You know, I can't think of them all offhand, but you know, you gotta remember a lot of A lot of this was a lot of visual was more limited back then. Cause the social media and all that didn't exist. Running back. So what would happen was after the album dropped, the album could live on for a couple of months with maybe one or two videos here and there. But once the bootlegging did come, they had to go on tour to make that money. Again, early 90s, rappers wasn't touring like that. And a lot of venues was actually scared because there used to be fights at these concerts. And you got to remember, it was all about the gangster rap. The gangster rap was real big. So being that gangster rap was real big, these arenas wasn't taking that risk that they taking right now. And you see it kind of came back a little bit with this whole NBA young boy, with these fights and stuff. That's really hurting that image, that scenery. That's why some of them shows was getting canceled. So people don't want to take that risk of getting sued and fighting, and the venue gets sued, the artist gets sued, the label gets sued. That's the type of stuff was going on in the early 90s. It wasn't hip hop concerts like that. Now you might get a festival or some here and there. Like I said, you just had your TV shows. That's why Arsenio Hall and stuff like that was so popular. In living color. At the end of the show, you get to see your favorite rappers perform, stuff like that. Soul Train. Those are the shows that the record labels had contact with. Then your BTs and your MTVs came. All of this stuff went in order. And the things that did stick around, and just think about everything that we talking about right now. Every venue and place that we talking about right now don't exist no more. And it don't exist for a reason. Because something else had to come, something else had to exist. Like I say, run it back. Somebody else had to come with another idea. With the streaming that's going on right now, something is going to come after the streaming. We don't know what it is. Streaming is not going to be the end all be all. I say by 2000, and by the late 2030s, streaming ain't gonna exist no more. It's gonna be something after streaming. And they working on it right now. And it gotta be something to do with not only AI, but the buying up of these catalogs. These catalogs getting sold for a reason. These catalogs are getting brought for a reason by these labels, and I don't even say labels, these entities that know something that we don't know. So the future of the way music is going to be distributed and marketed is already in the making. It's already too many people that complained about the percents of money that's being made, even the record labels. So the next phase is already being worked on. But definitely the order was tapes. Well, of course it was stuff before tapes. But my era tapes, CDs, to the bootlegging, streaming. And that's why mixtapes was what it was. Get the music out. We kind of getting back to that again slightly. Just a little bit. We kind of getting back to that. Like, just get the music out. Because everything is more visual, especially with social media. And it is sad that every person who is a artist per se, you do have to be a content creator. It's like you're forced to do it, like no matter what. In some form or fashion, you forced to create content because of not just being able to put your art out. That's just like this video per se right now. Although it's content, it still holds the weight of someone having, want to match it up with something. Because if I was to do, let's just say some spoken word right now, it'd have to be attached to something else. You have to be a content creator. And is that going to play into how music is consumed in the next 20 to 30 years? I don't know. But it's definitely a change in effect. And hopefully AI don't be too much involved with that. But if you think about it, not everybody is getting some type of money with AI in some type of way, especially with the content creating, whether it be your editing, because a lot of the edits be AI also. And when I say AI, I'm talking about it's done through sites like the chopping, the clips and all that. That's still all AI generated. So that's something to think about also when people look at content and whether it's cake cut, what's that Opus clip, StreamYard, all of these. Because StreamYard, they didn't just added a couple features like that also. Because I actually used that, like AI generated clips, like when they just grab clips out your videos and all that stuff. All that stuff, it do save time, but it's still AI though. It's a small portion of AI. It's a computer. That's what AI is. It's like a sensor or something that just hears certain words or just feels certain energy of certain commentary or anything. Like it can take a clip from this video or whatever, what can have you. If you're just tuning into the chat, this is something you can definitely replay. Stay tuned, you need to hear this. It's a lot of things we was taught in hip hop, but I wonder is it just safe to say that hip hop just got too big for itself? Would it be fair to have that conversation and just say that? I mean, you tell me in the comments though, would it be just safe to say something like that? Is it just safe to say that hip hop got too big for its own? Like how they say back in the day, like you too big for your own bridges. Like it just got so, did it hit a ceiling? That's a good question. I should have put that in the title of the video. Maybe I'll make another video entitled with that. I mean, run it back. Did hip hop hit a ceiling? Although hip hop and rap is two different things, we know that. But I'm talking about the energy and essence of it being what it became, hip hop. From the graffiti, breaking, rhyming, all of that, to going mainstream, to having breakdancing in the Olympics, stuff like that. The hip hop get too big for its own self to where it just hit a ceiling to where, because you do know when you number one, there's nowhere else to go but down. I mean, what's after number one? It ain't no number zero. When you at the top, did we just get tired of each other? Or is it all just a never-ending complaining mystery to where it's like we'll never just be satisfied? We love it that much. Because everybody came in it on their own dime and time and era. Wherever you was at when you discovered it, like they say, when did you fall in love with hip-hop? Where was you at? What were you doing? What were you into? And you got to remember, whatever time and moment that was, that's your golden era, and that's what you always gonna compare it to. So it's like a genre that's supposedly 50 plus years old, although it's been done many ways beyond 50 years. But the essence of the history writing of it, as far as celebrating and all that, we gonna go with the 50 plus just for the sake of this conversation. But being that that's actually young, definitely younger than soul and blues and stuff like that. So just imagine, give or take, when you discover hip hop, the essence it was in, whenever that was, whether it be the 2000s, it don't have to be my era. Everybody got different versions of it. So what's gonna happen is, no matter what, running back, everybody's gonna be able to equate it to where they fell in love with it at. It's like that's where I met her at. That's why people like Common made songs like I Used to Love Her, which was considered a diss to other genres of music. West Coast took it that way because in the song, Common was talking about the way he discovered her, which her was really hip hop. So the whole notion of when you fell in love with it, that's going to be your memory. Because we can't knock these kids like that. I mean, we try to, and we can say it's bullshit, we don't like it, it's trash, blah, blah, blah. But for the 15-year-old today, for the 25-year-old today that listen to music, this is their time. This is the time that they listen to it. This is the time that they fell in love with it. NBA Youngboy is they Tupac or whatever. He's they popular rapper. He's the one that they gonna say when they turn 40. I went to my first concert at a NBA Youngboy concert or something. That's gonna happen for their lifetime. And for the ones who wanna research, it's always gonna be stories. Now that's one thing I do like about social media. You can live forever through it. But although at the same time, it's a lot of people that rewrite history or trying to rewrite history. And it's a lot of people who wasn't there and just, just add their own little 2 cents on into it. Cause history can be rewrote if you let it. And a lot of this stuff on social media, it's not like you could say the same thing about a book. Everything in the book, just because it's in the book, contrary to popular belief, just because a lot of stuff was in the book, that don't mean it was real. That don't mean it was all facts, Because there's a lot of hip-hop books that been wrote, and everybody got point of views, and our history on music that we living through and the way that we living so opinionated nowadays, that shit gonna be so confusing. 30, 40 years from now, it's gonna be so confusing to these people. It's gonna be so many debates, arguments, emotional. Running back, hip hop is in a very emotional state right now. And the internet just let anything just go up. Even this commentary that you're listening to right now through me, the ones that live through it can attest to some. And not to mention, there's going to be some things that came before me that I can be the miss. But discovery is discovery and history is history. And that's what we have to learn to do, learn how to separate opinions and emotions from the real facts of hip hop. Because a lot of us turn a blind eye to things that happen in hip hop. Don't talk about a lot of things that happen in hip hop. When would a day ever come that gangster rappers will hold accountability? Some of these rappers is going to be 70 years old and in wheelchairs talking about how, we was just rapping what we saw, or we was just this, we were just that. But the destruction was there. The capitalism off of gangster, the whole gangster persona, it was formed, it was created. But don't no quote unquote gangster rapper really want to take the blame for the destruction that it did like that. Who would just step up and do that? Willingly want to just take on that whole responsibility of saying, okay, like we did this knowingly. Like we knew we was being destructive. We knew we was on bullshit. Like we knew what we was selling to the people. We know we was coming out making people be gangsters, glorifying the penitentiary and shootings and running back. If you just tune into the video this day, you might need to hear this. If you're just tapping into the video. But how many? They'll say OG though. OG is just it's like a term from old school, somewhat endurement for someone who just been around for a long time. These are the things hip hop don't talk about. It ain't gonna be no more big superstars. It's gonna dwindle down. Although I'm repeating this, but I believe it. Well, let me just say I'm repeating it because I believe it. Although it's not a level playing field, but for it to be big budget spent, big videos. Hip hop, it's about over with. And definitely not consistency with it. If you're just tuning in, stay tapped in. You may need to hear this. It's what hip hop don't talk about. Can we get to the burnout of hip hop though? Can we get to the mental health of these artists? The traveling, going state to state, high, drunk, groupies, sex, away from family, away from loved ones, at the mercy of the labels and the itinerary. And you can see it in some of their faces in not only their shows, but their interviews. Some of them be wore out. It's not a party every day. Although they may try to make it look like, okay, we touring, we having fun, we on the bus, we on the plane, I'm Gucci'd up, blah, blah, blah. The burnout kicks in. And the ones that do travel and tour a lot, like your boy bands or your groups and stuff like that, the ones that's been doing it for years, not only they gotta do it, but it's definitely a testament to how it's hard work, especially for the older ones. And then the ones that used to be on drugs a long time ago. Your members of New Edition, stuff like that, who was torn in their 20s and lived on the road. And now just think about it now, these dudes are like 60, still torn. And it's 6 of them. Do you think all of them 6 of them want to, or do they have to? When New Edition set out to sign a contract and go on the road at 60 years old, no new music, trying to keep a lifestyle, going out doing what they have to do. Bodies probably burnt out, have to be training, have to be in the gym, have to try their best to do the dance routines. Been traveling doing this for years. Do you think all 6 of them in the group? And mind you, they all have to be on board. Well, they don't all have to, but it definitely, well, they probably do all have to, because think about it. If it's 2 of them that don't want to go on this tour right now, the first thing it's going to do is just draw up consumption of where's the other two at. Oh, we don't want, and it's definitely depending on who it is. Oh no, we don't want to see them. So they all have to agree, being that they all alive, they all have to be on the same accord of, okay, you about to do this 50 city tour at 60 years old, city to city, dance, away from my family, sing, stay in health. That's why you have to commend somebody like, I ain't gonna say commend, well, I am gonna say commend. People like Brandy, which I heard, had to walk away from some of the tour dates and stuff like that. And to be honest, we still don't even know what happened with Anita Baker. I mean, let's talk about that. People talking all that shit. Did anybody ever bother to even check on her and see if she all right? All we saw was the people in Atlanta cussing and talking about it, how they in line and how they pay money and blah, 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 blah. Did anybody ever just decide to check on Anita Baker right now and see how she doing? Let's just be real. Run it back. Did anybody ever decide to contact her label or a fan, write email or anything? Obviously, she didn't show up to that show for a reason. She can be going through something mentally right now in this very moment. We don't even know it. Brandy, the same. She made the conscious decision. I can't just go on and keep, You have to remember, all these people is over 40. These ain't no fucking kids. Brandy and Monica, they started at 15 and 16. But they in their 40s now. They mid-40s, still running around, singing songs that they made when they was 15, 16 years old. If your body can't take it, that's why I have to commend Brandy for whatever it is that made her feel that, okay, it's not that important for me to risk my health and steady try to fulfill these tour dates or whatever. And I don't know how that goes as far as like, do she have to owe money? Can she be, for not fulfilling the contract or whatever of the tour dates or something? I wonder how that worked. Excuse me. And then we have to think how Monica can feel about this. Because that's like messing with some of her money. Because she was committed. But if it's a tour for both of them, But these are the things that hip hop and our culture don't talk about. The burnout. And a lot of these people tour because they have to. These people make content because they have to. People are slaves to it. And it can be fun in the beginning. It can be, just something you want to do, some a hobby or fun. Look at your Castanats, he was talking about mental health. I was talking about that on my video with her yesterday. But stuff like that, these content creators, when they have to create day by day and put something together to feed the masses, the burnout can happen. But at the same time, you have to be in love and influence. It's okay to space it out. This world will make you think that you can't. Or that you have to keep, or they're going to forget you. But if you got something that's effective enough, it's going to live on forever. And that's why I keep to it with my healing conversations or my motivation, or my, stuff like that in my spoken word and stuff like that, a timeless message. Stuff like that can live on forever. I mean, run it back. But take this message in, though. Share this video with somebody who you think may need it. Any hip hop head or anybody that's in tune and love the nostalgia of music and the conversation. That's where we at with it. Rap Talk.